Hey guys, we are back to continue our marriage tune-up discussions from our retreat with Family Life Weekend Getaway. So today we will be talking about, I love my suitcase, I gotta show you guys in every video.
Yeah.
So today we're talking about oneness and conflict.
Yellow book.
The yellow book. If you have your yellow book, grab your yellow book right now.
That's how it went all weekend.
Pretty much. Open the yellow book in relational oneness. So,
am I going or are you going?
I'll start.
Okay.
So, to start this session out, we kind of ran it off a love letter we had to write to our partner. So, I wrote a love letter to Dave, and he wrote one to me.
You betcha.
So, in the love letter, we just, pretty much, you're supposed to really just write a love letter to your partner. Like,
yeah.
I don't know how else to explain that.
To be honest, yeah, like, this doesn't need any more talking. It's basically... Yeah. we don't take the time anymore, so take the time.
Like, when's the last time you got a love letter from your husband or boyfriend or girlfriend? Write a love letter.
So we had half an hour. That's not much time. Everybody has half an hour. Just take half an hour. It's a matter of just taking it. And
I challenge you out there. Write a love letter to your partner and put it somewhere unexpected that you know they'll see. Like on their pillow, put it
maybe not
in their car.
They'll never find it.
Put it on their pillow. Don't say, babe, I wrote you a love letter. Like, just leave it somewhere for them to see in a random moment. It'd be really sweet. I challenge you to do that.
Yep.
Go.
Then we started into the rest of the session, so oneness in conflict. And so basically, right off the bat, there's 5 points. 1, conflict is inevitable. Every relationship, whether it's your spouse, whether it's at work, whether it's your friends, whether it's your parents, siblings, whatever, it doesn't matter. Conflict is going to happen. There's obviously varying reasons. We have opposing views and opinions. You can ask, my opinionated sister. We feel our needs. Oh, that might have been a low blow. I'm not sure.
Shade.
But we feel, our needs are desires aren't being met. We feel our rights are being violated, or we're just hurt. And so then, you end up being like fighting lions. Who knows, whatever. So that's basically conflict is happening.
Now, they do explain to us that there's a couple of things. That how couples manage their conflict either moves them towards oneness or isolation.
Right.
And in that, they mention that spouses have to believe that a solution is possible. If you don't believe it, you're not going to achieve it. Real simple.
Yep.
And successful marriages know how to handle conflicts that erupt. You have to know how to handle conflict. Otherwise, it'll blow up in your face, and that'll be the end of that situation. So, point number 2, conflict triggers. So that is...
What are some
common hot button items that can trigger conflict in your relationships? So they had us here choose, out of a list they had, things that apply to us that trigger conflict. And we both did that, and then they gave us some time to talk about our triggers. Mm-hmm. So we did that, which was really good. Some examples they had like work-life balance, parenting issues, extended family, scheduling issues, feeling neglected, feeling disrespected, feeling appreciated, passive-aggressive behavior. You get the point.
Yeah.
So those are the examples there. 3, anger escalates conflict. So in that, they talk about anger just amplifies your emotion. Whatever you're already feeling, anger multiplies the times, 20. Anger reduces rationality, creative thinking, and empathy, which I think is pretty, we know that. And lastly, in that same point, anger sparks instinctive responses. As humans, as even mammals, I can call, let's take us to that umbrella, we fight or flight. Those are our instinct. It's very instinctive, actually. I've studied this in psych. It's very, very, very instinctive to fight or flight a situation when we feel threatened.
So may I just ask, so how do the mammals display this?
You saw the lions fighting.
Sure, they fight. Is there any mammal that flights?
I'm sure there is. I'm sure, yeah.
Can
I talk?
Well, no, it's my turn. You just took 2.
I know. I was going to let you finish off others.
So then let me talk.
Okay, go.
Okay. So on to the fight or flight. Basically, so kind of some of the responses when these anger triggers happen and it escalates. If you're a fighter, you're going to criticize. You're going to do character attacks, hold contempt, so sarcasm, belligerence, or you're going to counterattack. If you're a flighter, then there's going to be physical withdrawal emotional withdrawal, silence, the silent treatment. That's typical case of a flighter. And so, yeah, so what are you? Oh, what are you? So it was funny because when I evaluate ourselves, what we are.
Yeah, they had you like check off what you do.
Yeah.
Do you physically withdraw? Like they didn't say, are you a fighter or flighter? You had points under each. Check it off, and it kind of tells you what you are.
And so Wemi and I, we did it, and Wemi's a flighter, definitely.
Completely. Silent, physical withdrawal, emotional withdrawal. I'm all about flight.
I wouldn't say...
Peace and out.
I wouldn't say physical withdrawal ever, but I'm just kidding. Anyway, but then she looked at me, and she was like, what am I? And I was like, I'm a fighter. And she was like, huh? And it was funny because I'm actually I'm a fighter at heart. Like I'm the counterattack, criticism, sarcasm, that's me. But it's funny because with Wemi, I'm training myself not to do that. Now the ironic thing is, and this is before the conference, I was training myself to be more of a flighter because, she doesn't like that kind of aggressiveness in that setting. So I was kind of getting away from the fight by leaning towards flight, which if we had gone to the conference and didn't have to do that, that's just a waste of time. So yeah, so it was kind of funny. But anyway, we hit the just the typical case, or the typical flow of conflict. It goes from conflict to anger, fight or flight, relational withdrawal, and isolation. So if you feel you're in that path, listen to what Wemi's got next, because we'll get out of that. We don't want that.
So under the fight, there is contempt, as Dave mentioned. And they have a quote in here by John Gottman that says, "Contempt is our single best predictor of divorce." I bring this up because I've taken a course. I took a course in organizational behavior, in psych though, not in business, but in psych. And we talked about the fact that in a lot of research, the one type of couple you can't save is a couple with contempt. Once a couple gets to the point of contempt, it's almost impossible to save their marriage. Unless it's impossible, it's almost impossible to save their marriage. Okay. And contempt is that sarcasm, the belligerence. Once you start taking a person's character and defaming it completely and having no regard for their feelings, they're like nothing, so don't get to that point. I plead with you, if you are walking down that path, seek some help, talk to someone, talk to each other, do whatever you can to get away from it as fast as you can. So,
how can we get away from it?
Conflict management.
There we go.
That's how. So there are two types of conflicts. We have conflict over problems that can and should be resolved. Then we have conflict over perpetual problems that can't be resolved easily or perhaps ever.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. So, perpetual problems. What are we talking about there? Those are usually the center of fundamental differences. So that is our personality. That is gender-based differences. That it is what it is. Like, you got to take that person at that and
accept it.
Yeah. It is what it is.
Yeah.
So the funny thing is, they gave us a thing here that happy couples report blank % of relational conflict over perpetual problems. Unhappy couples, blank percentage. What would you guys think? You'd be surprised to know that both happy and unhappy couples, the exact same.
Just to clarify, I'm not sure if you read that quite. So, unhappy couples report that blank percentage of relational conflict is over perpetual problems.
Yes, I didn't read
Happy
that.
couples
yes.
Report that blank percentage of relational conflict is over perpetual problems. So, what they both report a percentage, it's the same.
69%.
From whether you're happy or unhappy.
Or happy, you have pretty much the same problems. It's just a matter of how you deal with it.
Yeah.
First step, having the hard conversation. First, ask yourself, can I let this go?
Mm-hmm.
Is it required for the good of our relationship? What is my contribution to the conflict? What habit, pattern, or behavior may have triggered the conflict? And am I trying to retaliate or resolve?
Resolve. No, it's not like retaliate or resolve.
Yeah,
it's
sorry.
Retaliate
or resolve.
Yeah.
And then punish or pursue peace.
Yeah. Retaliate or resolve.
I guess. Yeah, okay. So, from that point, research says that it takes men 9 minutes to figure out that you're angry. 9 minutes. So you're sitting there pissed off for 9 minutes. This man's just chilling. And they're like, oh, something must be wrong with her.
Because she's given the silent treatment. We don't know what's going on.
Y'all know what I'm talking about, women out there. You guys know what I'm talking about. Let's go.
Second point of conflict resolution. Focus on the specific problem, not on the other person. Wemi's pointing to her book because she doesn't think I can get it. I know that my book's blank.
Jay didn't take it. Look at mine and look at his.
But I know. So your spouse is not the enemy. It's in big letters.
That's all he's been saying to me since he got back. But there are other points within that. You want me to share them?
No, because there are none.
Complaining attacks the problem, and criticizing attacks the person. So just be aware not to criticize the person that you're talking to. Don't attack their character. Be specific. A lot of people don't like generalizations, so try to be specific as much as you can, and don't become judges of motives. Motives.
Oh.
Motives.
I see.
Go.
Number 3, words matter. Oh, you're pretty blank on that one, aren't you? So we'll have to rely on my good old noggin here. Words are important. Words.
Proverbs 15:1. A gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. Pretty much.
It's basically saying, the words that you use while dealing with a conflict, they could come back and bite you. So just be cautious. This goes back to the think before you speak. Use kind words. Are you being kind? Are you being honest? Words are important, the words you choose.
Okay, and last but not least, give your partner time to respond and listen with an open mind to their perspective. So back to the point we talked about earlier, listening with the goal of understanding and not just to respond.
Absolutely. And then in the end, the flow chart for conflict is all of a sudden conflict. It's going to happen. We know it's inevitable. But then loving confrontation, so addressing it, being kind, being loving, using your proper words, understanding, making sure everybody understands, relational engagement, and then oneness. So it's making sure you go down that path instead. So that was a way for conflict resolution. They also had us go through a case study of our own. We got to pick basically one conflict that we had recently had and resolved. That was key. And then you needed to evaluate it. And so I think I'd like to challenge you guys out there, if you could do this, if you wanted to do this with your spouse. Say, what feelings did you each experience? And this is check boxes. Did you feel unappreciated? I felt like I needed to win. I felt out of control. I felt embarrassed. I felt powerless. And I felt insecure. So, check off which ones you felt during that conflict. Wemi and I chose one that happened on the way up to her birthday weekend in Mont Tremblant. You guys probably didn't even know. But we resolved it, and we had a good talk about it. Number 2, what could each of you done differently to avoid escalation? And number 3, how did you repair your relationship after the conflict? So honestly, take that on your own. If you want to share with us, great, but by all means, this is a on your own kind of activity. Take your spouse, bring them those 3 questions, and just evaluate a previous conflict so that the next one you can improve, you can get better, because it's going to happen again. There's going to be another one. And
I think the important thing about that exercise right there is the fact that you might learn that you never actually repaired the relationship after that argument, or after that fight, after that conflict. And this gives you a chance to just have that repair.
Yeah.
Try not to go back to the emotion, because it's easy to go back to that emotion and you usually just end up right back where you were. Try to leave the emotion there and look at it from, okay, how do we repair this?
Yeah.
To go forward.
You're not trying to reopen the conflict.
Argument or whatever, it's gone, let it die.
And this is why it needs to be a resolved conflict. You don't want to open a conflict that is still pending and just kind of sitting in the bushes kind of thing. You're just trying to learn from it by looking back. So.
Okay, then we have repair. Apologize, guys. Conflict is really long because conflict it's a real situation that...
It's everywhere.
Yeah, it's important. So, repair. Step 1, repair requires forgiveness.
Say it loudly.
Forgiveness. That is key. So, seeking forgiveness and granting forgiveness. Both parts are required. Now, with seeking forgiveness, you have to be willing to say you were wrong. Accept responsibility for your part in the conflict. 2, be willing to say you're sorry. Recognize and empathize with your spouse's feelings of being hurt, being rejected. Whatever they felt, recognize it. Don't push it away. Don't say you didn't have a right to feel that way. That is their feeling. They are very well allowed and entitled to that.
Yep.
Be willing to turn away from the hurtful behavior. Be willing to ask for forgiveness. So, and they give some good statements of how to go about doing this. Some ideas are, I was wrong about blank. I'm sorry for making you feel blank. I'm going to do my best not to do it again. Please forgive me.
So that's great. I think that's your one half. That's the person seeking forgiveness. The other half, the guy is granting forgiveness.
This isn't about the guy and the girl.
So the other half of that, that interaction is the granting of forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to do it internally first. If you're going to forgive somebody, you have to, forgive them in here. You have to forgive them specifically. Do it specifically. So forgive them for a specific action of hurt or whatever that actually occurred. You need to grant forgiveness on that. Do it generously. So basically remind yourself of a time when you needed forgiveness, and then that should help offer forgiveness to your spouse. And do it again. Forgive people over and over. It doesn't hurt to, make sure it's most importantly clear, and you want to reaffirm that forgiveness once you grant it.
And it's like it's in the Lord's Prayer, forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who have trespassed against us.
Absolutely.
So learn to forgive.
Yeah. And so again, they give some examples of how to do it. I forgive you for blank. That one's easy. I felt blank, but I know I've done things that have made you feel that way too. I am choosing to let this go, and I won't hold it against you anymore. So I felt sad.
Yeah, like if you did something for me, I felt hurt.
Yeah.
But I know I've made you feel hurt before, so I apologize. And yeah.
Definitely. So learn to say you're sorry and learn to forgive.
And both movements are necessary. You
Absolutely.
can't have one without the other. Seek forgiveness, grant forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
Next, repair involves rebuilding trust. That's a big one.
Mm-hmm.
Go. Trust is not automatically reinstated when forgiveness is asked for and granted. So trust takes work. It's like building a house. You got to build it back up all over again. You've destroyed the foundation of the house. You got to build it back up again. Trust is rebuilt through consistent behavior over time. I can't stress that enough. Consistency is a big key to trust. You have to be consistent in your behaviors. Painful feelings do not instantly disappear.
Nope.
That's like, it's easy to sit in your feelings, and once you sit in your feelings, it takes almost twice as long to get rid of those feelings. So just be aware that it will take time for your spouse to let it go and to keep it moving.
Yep.
And last but not least, ask God for patience, because you might need it.
Absolutely. And then finally, in the repair step, is learn. Learn from the conflict. And this was in our challenge to you. Look back on one of the conflicts that you've had, and you got to learn from it. So the way to do that, you got to look at the conflict that you had in the past through three lenses. The reverse lens. So basically, put yourself in the other person's shoes. That's pretty easy. Yeah. See it from their perspective, and that'll help you learn from it. Look at it through a long lens. So basically, what's that one?
Is this really important?
Yeah, okay. So long-term kind of aspect. So in the big picture, is it important? Great. Yeah. And then the wide lens, no.
What can be learned from this situation? About me, my spouse, God, and life. So taking that conflict and applying it to the rest of your life and seeing what you can learn and apply to different areas.
Man, I really would have failed this test. I didn't take enough notes.
I'm just saying, take some notes, baby.
But yeah, so it's interesting. Like the last point in the book is actually take a look at that previous conflict that you worked on through those three lenses. And so again, add that onto your to-do list. I know it's a lot of homework, long video, but
it's important. Conflict
is
is the key to. It's almost like it's the key to a successful marriage. Learn how to handle conflict properly.
It's a key to just life.
To life, yeah.
Yeah, like conflict is so always around us. So getting better at dealing with it is obviously a positive thing. So we're glad that we can share it with you. We hope that somebody out there is learning from us.
I really hope so.
Yeah, and we love doing this. So this is our marriage retreat, or
taking my suitcase and going back on my journey.
Yeah, and we'll see you next time for Family Life Weekend Getaway. The Marriage Tune-Up with Dave and Wendy. Moments of love.
Bye, guys.